This is Kim with Mom's Creative Moments, and I am bringing you another in our Oahu series. And this is the double page layout that I'm doing for now I have to look at it because if I don't look at it, I won't say it correctly, the Nu'uanu Pali Lookout. It's a Hawaiian state park, and this is located on the top of the mountain that sort of divides the island. So in order to go from Honolulu to the let me get this right too. It's printed on one of my photos actually. The windward. So in order to go from Honolulu to the windward side of the island, or the north side of the island, you had to go either around the southern tip or you had to go over these mountains, and this lookout point is right at the crest of the mountains, so you can look out over the windward side of the island and see an amazing sight of green. I have a collage I'm going to show you in just a second of photos that I put together that is just the coolest. And the wind up there is pretty amazing too. So if you go, make sure you have your coat along, because even on a warm day, it's kind of chilly up there. It's not like it's super high, but the wind does whip through there. So anyway, let's see what's on my workspace and we'll get started, okay? All right, so I'm sure this looks like a hodgepodge of stuff, but let me just kind of walk you through what I've got here. I have two 1-inch strips of white cardstock because we're going to be doing a little bit of welding today. I have my cloud punch, which we're going to use using some white cardstock a little later. I have my photographs of the Nu'uanu Pali Lookout, and I'm sure I sound really awful when I try to say that because I try to concentrate too hard. But this is the series of photos that I put together so that you could see what the landscape looks like that you can see from this lookout. Pretty amazing stuff. This is actually my husband right here taking his video of the surrounding area, but using still photos, this is the landscape, and it's vast and wide and just breathtaking. Pretty sure this is a golf course down here at the base, but I'm not sure. I'm not certain of that. All right, a couple of other really interesting things, some signs I took some pictures of the history of the area. This, so that I would remember what it was called. This tree was pretty amazing, and so I took a picture a little bit closer of the trunk because it was just, I don't know how in the world it grew that way, but it was pretty cool. So I thought that would be really fun to have a record of in our book. All right, in addition to the pictures, which I'm going to set out of the way just for a little bit until we are ready for them, I have two full sheets of 12 by 12 paper from the Tone on Tone collection of Serene Waters. I have a couple of scraps of green from, I think one of these is Tropic Time actually, but this is a Serene Waters scrap. And they're all in the general neighborhood, so I pulled these out to use with our grass punch. The grass punch, if you have this in any form or fashion, I have the original grass punch for the border maker system. I have a border punch of grass from Close to My Heart, which also works with our system. I have also an individual punch like this that will punch a border of grass. So if you have any of those things or the equivalent thereof, pull that out. You can use that for this layout. I also have some pieces of blue shimmer, which I thought might be fun to accent the page with so that we have a little more blue. So let's get started. The first thing I'm going to do is go ahead and weld these two 12 by 12 pages together to make some base sheets. And I'm going to grab my trimmer to do that. So I'm going to use my CM 12 by 12 or 12-inch trimmer. And I'm just going to stack these two pages so that I can go ahead and, oh, excuse me, my word. Excuse me. So I'm going to stack these two pages so that I can cut them in half. One thing about these brush stroke pages like this, you might notice is your corners tend to be darker than the center portion. And one side even tends to be darker than the other side. So you just kind of have to decide how you want to do it. I'm actually going to, because this is going to be the lower portion of my page, I'm going to cut it down the center here so that I can put each of these dark corners to the outside of my page, or possibly to the inside. At any rate, if I can put them both in one direction or the other, then it will help the flow of the page, I believe. So that's my choice. And this one, because it is brush strokes as well, but in a very directional pattern, I want to make sure that I am cutting this down the center so that the brush strokes are horizontal. So just a couple of ideas that I have. If you don't care, don't worry about it. But I kind of try to look at my paper before I cut it, just to make sure that I'm cutting it in a direction that's going to make sense with the flow of my pages. Okay, so cutting those two down the middle, they are good to go. And right now I don't need my trimmer anymore, at least for the time being. First thing I'm going to do is go ahead and weld these. So let's decide whether we're going to do dark on the outside or dark on the inside with our green. I think I like it on the outside best. So that means I want to weld it this way. Both of these blue pieces are going to be relatively the same, so I'm not too worried about those. I just wanted to make sure that I have the green flowing in the right way. Okay, so if you've never seen me weld before, I'm going to put my pages together. I flipped them over and making sure my seam is right up against itself and even. Everything looks good. I'm going to take my permanent adhesive and I'm going to draw it across the seam, about 1 inch worth of adhesive at an angle. It's just the way I do it. I'm not sure that this is the way the advisor who taught me how to do this did it anymore, because I may have modified it somewhat. But Sherry Tilley, who also has her own YouTube page now, she's the one who taught me how to do this welding. You just lay that paper welding piece of cardstock right down on top and you are good to go. So super easy, super quick, and relatively painless, which is the way I like to have my scrapbooking go. Relatively painless, right? So thank you, Sherry, because I use this all the time. So your welding piece is about a 1 inch by 12 inch piece of cardstock. You can see I just used a piece of a cover page from an old theme pack of paper back when we were given cardstock for those cover sheets. They work great for that. Okay, so now I have my base sheets and I can see that they are backwards. They actually need to go this way. But regardless, these are ready to go. I'm going to set these aside until we're ready to work with them and focus on some punching. So we're going to punch some grass, and I'm going to use both of these cartridges. And I'm going to punch one set of grass for the front and one set of grass for the back. So I think probably the darker bit should be the bit that is in the back, and the front should be the lighter piece. So, and I have no idea how these are going to go together. I'm pretty sure this one will make sense because it's grassy printed paper. This one might not look quite right. We're going to see how it flows. I didn't have any other green paper in this collection that I could pull from, scraps left over or anything, so I'm going to do 2 rows of this punch, one for each side of my layout. And you can even keep these work great as grass as well, or you know, sometimes they would work great as like a little bit of grass in a planter, or I don't know. Sometimes I keep them, sometimes I don't. So what is it? Comme ci, comme ça, I think is what my French teacher used to say back in the days when I had French. It's been too long, I can't even tell you how long. My dad would say 6 in one, half a dozen another. In other words, it doesn't really matter. But we'll throw them over there till I can make a choice. All right, so we've got 2 rows of this. I'm going to cut that down the middle with my trimmer in a minute. And I'm going to pop this cartridge out and use this one from Close to My Heart. It was not Close to My Heart exactly, it's another division of Close to My Heart, but I don't think they make these anymore. And please forgive me that I don't remember the actual name of that portion of their company. This one would probably not look as realistic flipped over, but it could work. Who knows? Okay. And I don't have as nice an edge to just flip this one over, so let me grab my trimmer and just cut this. Okay, let's cut this first and we'll see how high this is going to be. So this is 3 5/8 inches high, so we want it to be 1.5, 1 1/4, roughly 1 1/4, 1 1/4, no, 1 3/4. Should be about the half mark. Does that look right? And again, this is just because this is the size of my scrap. So the size of your scrap may be a little bit different, but since this is going to be in the background, I'm going to make it as deep as I possibly can, and then if I need to trim it, I can do that. So just a hair over 1 3/4 is what that was. So this one's going to be just a hair over 1 1/2, and then that way we can trim if we need to trim. Or we could even flip them around if we needed to, but I like the dark part on the back. So let's go ahead and punch this one, and then we'll play with it. and see which one looks best. All right. Be careful there where it was not attached. That could even probably look like fire, kind of, given that it's orange on the back. I don't know. It can be creative. Okay, I'm gonna put that away. So we're all done with our border maker. And then this one, all right. Might need to trim that down just a hair more, but let's see. Okay. So if we make our bases match, then that's the way our grass will look. We could move this down just a little bit. I think it looks pretty good, offset by just that 1/4 inch or so. So I'm going to go ahead and adhere that together. And I just put my adhesive right down the middle. Oops, hello. It decided to adjust for me. I put my adhesive right down the middle on purpose so that I can trim off a little bit on the bottom if I decide this is too high. Okay, so there's that one. All right, there's my grass. Now I need some white cardstock. Okay, so we're just going to punch an edge on this and then go back and trim it to make some clouds to go across our blue sky. I'm going to do both edges, and then we'll trim it and do 2 more edges. Oh, what am I doing? My bad. There we go. This cloud punch that we have is actually a frame punch as well, and so if you line up your paper with the bar on the side here, it will punch a really pretty frame for you, which is cool, but that's not really what I want this time around. So had to fix my train of thought, get it back on track, as it were. All right, so let's go ahead and trim this off. And we know from experience the other day that we want, I should have written it down, 2 3/4 2 3/4 inch in order to make it not overlap but look like a pretty cloud. So there's one sheet. Two. Okay, so then we're going to punch the other side of those. Turning it around and using I'm trying to line up the edge with, all right, it's just easier to do it this way. I don't know why I'm stressing about it. Okay, if you just take a sticky note and line it up with the edge of your paper, then you know right where it is. And you can put your paper to the back shoulder and line it up on the front, and you're good to go. I don't know why. Sometimes I make things harder than they need to be. Oh, pardon me. Oh, goodness sake. Thank you. I have Gesundheits coming from upstairs too. Okay. So that's actually a little wider than I expected it to be. Wonder what I did wrong there. But that's okay. I think it'll still be all right. Yeah, we'll just go with it. I can put a title on there. It'll be good. Okay. Okay, almost done. All right. Get rid of my confetti there. Okay. Now we're going to play with our layout. So let's grab these sheets and I'm going to move this out of the way, at least a bit. Going to grab my grass first. The grass is going to go down here at the bottom. Didn't really think about how much this would blend with this, but I think it will be okay because we're going to have some stunning photographs to go across here, so people will look at the photographs and not worry about the cute little borders as much. Okay, let's get our photos and figure out where those need to go. This one is the big one, so I am most concerned about it. And I'm just setting the borders on here just so that I can see what to expect with the rest of the pictures. So I believe what I want to do is that, and then we'll put a couple of these next to it. Maybe trim these just a hair. This one, I don't know if we necessarily need this. Maybe I'll include this in a different layout because it's mainly talking about other sights to see on the island. So I think I'm going to hold off on that one. We'll include that somewhere else. All right, so I think this is the way we're going to do this. And then I can put a title across here and some embellishments in these corners, and that will be perfect. Okay, so that means I need to cut a couple things. So let's, before doing that, let's go ahead and mount our borders so that they are stationary and we don't have to worry about where they are going or not going. Okay, so I am just, you'll notice I put my adhesive kind of towards the bottom. That way I can slide something underneath it if I need to, like if I want to add a journal box or something like that when I go to do embellishing. I can still do that. I can slip it behind the grass and tuck it in with relative ease. But my grass is stable. It's not going to go anywhere. Okay. All right, then the clouds. I'm going to do the same thing and just kind of go down the middle where there aren't any holes with my permanent adhesive. That way I can just stick this right on and not worry about it. I'm going to go about 1/8 of an inch from the top with the top edge of my paper so that I'm conserving as much of the blue paper as I can. And so that they match, I'm going to go ahead and make my pages meet up. As good as I can. And because I was not super careful about the way I was punching, my edges are a little off, but that's okay. With the jeeping in between, you won't be able to tell. It'll be all right. Okay, so now what we're going to do is go ahead and cut our large photograph. That's this one right here. And first we need to measure it and find out how wide it is, so we can cut it right down the middle. So I'm just going to use my mat that I have on my paper, or on my desk. My mat that I have on my desk. And let's see. So we're looking at about 16 inches. Barely a hair over 16 inches. So that means I need to cut it at the 8-inch mark, which will be just fine. So I'm going to pull this out and find 8 inches. The tricky part is keeping it level because, as you can see, my center of my paper, or of my pictures, is kind of going at an angle. So I think what I'm going to do is try to make that center part level and still keep it at 8 inches. Maybe just a hair over 8 inches. Okay. Alright, so this part of the picture can go away because it was underneath. This part is adhered, so I'm good to go with that. The other one I needed to separate is this one. We know this one is 6 inches, or almost 6 inches. It's about a 1/16 of an inch shy of 6 inches. So we're going to go to the 3-inch mark and go in between the 1/16 of an inch marks. Wow, that's pretty tedious, huh? All right, but those are the only ones I needed to trim. So those should be good to go. All right. So these pictures are going to meet right at the top. We're going to use our midline that we used for our weld line. That's going to be the base of the center photo. So just the middle point, and I'm going to make sure that the cut line follows the cut line of the paper, even though this outer photo is going to be a little bit askew. It'll be all right. And these two will go about 1/8 of an inch down, which you'll notice is about 1/8 of an inch higher than our grass, so perfectly centered, which is not what I planned, but it's nice when things come together that way, right? This one will be in the same place. So I'm just gonna, just for kicks and giggles, I'm gonna line this up because it makes me feel better. I feel like it's easier since sometimes these are at an angle. Okay, so there, now we have those photos that match up. This photo's gonna go down here and be 1/8 of an inch from the top photo, 1/8 of an inch from the photo on the left, over the top of the grass. Same thing here. I could have trimmed this one that I'm adhering right now. I considered it, actually, trimming it. But I decided against it because, as you'll notice, it talks about Pali Road and the trail, how it went from a trail to a highway, because it's now a huge freeway that goes up and over the mountain. But it used to be a footpath back a long, long time ago. It wasn't until 1957 that it became a road for cars. And it was just one way, maybe one way, or maybe a lane going each direction, but it only shows one car headed one direction in the picture in 1957. So prior to that, it evolved to that point. So it took quite a bit of time to get that far. Okay, so let's see what we need to do in order to trim. Oh, and the reason was because in the background here, at first I thought, oh, there's just a tree there, I'm just going to trim that. But then I realized there's the road. That's the original road. So I left it. When you're trimming your photos, you need to be cognizant of things like that, especially if you're working in an album that is of any historical significance. You want to make sure that you don't just trim out details that are important. Okay, so I need to trim off about 3/8 of an inch of this particular one in order to make it fit there. And I would cover up this one down here. Actually, I could tuck it under. So let's cut a little off from this side. I'm going to do to that crack in the trimmer, which is roughly 3/8 of an inch. Not exactly, but roughly. And then I'm going to tuck this one underneath this picture at the bottom. That way we don't lose the significance of the road at the bottom, and we still have room for this photo. Awesome. Okay. And then this one, I think we're going to end up needing to do the same thing. Yep, roughly. So maybe this side. Alright, going to put this an even amount from the top to the bottom. Did you hear my daughter holler for me just a second ago? I have a new sign up there my husband made for me that lights up. It's very cool. It says, "Shh, Mom's recording." But obviously my daughter did not listen or look at the sign, even though it... It's on.
Okay.
It blinks. She just wasn't looking at it. Okay, I think we are about ready for a couple of embellishments, and then this page will be done, or these pages will be done. So let's see what we have that would be good here. I've got some leaves. I like those leaves. I've got some other leaves. These are monstera leaves. I've got some palm trees, which are also cute. Or these leaves, which might be appropriate to just kind of do across the grass like that. Except it's going to cover up information. Although I could tuck that underneath the picture, and that would be okay. Should we do that? I didn't plan this. They were just on the top and seemed like a good idea. It's a good day to have a good day. Okay, let's see. Let's look a little deeper in my box. These are at the Serene Waters Collection, which may not have what we're looking for, but let's see. I have some flowers we could add, which might jazz things up just a little. There's another flower. Let's see. Let's see if we can pull just a couple of more flowers out of here. This is the Rainbow Rush flower embellishment pack, which I had left from a couple of older projects. We've got some yellow, blue. That's a pretty flower. Oh, there's two of them. Oh, I like that. Blue flower, aqua kind of tealy color flowers, red, purple, smaller yellow flowers. Let's see. I like those. And maybe there's a small yellow. I don't have another small yellow one though. I could do these two that are kind of rosy, since Nimrod's shirt is rosy. How would that be? And then we should probably add a flower or two to the top. These yellow ones, they're awfully big. I don't know. I think that's too big. We could use purple. Purple and peach. Put those on either side with a palm, with a big leaf. That actually I think looks pretty good. Here's another blue. I think we'll save that one. Okay. Let me grab my foam squares and we will get this one put to bed, as it were. I don't have room for journaling though. I suppose I could journal in the clouds up above, or I could just not put these giant blue flowers down here. Do I need a lot of room for journaling? I can put these kind of along the vine. Then I have room here. I like that idea better. Pretty blue flowers, but they're gonna have to go on another layout. Okay. So we're going to, where did my adhesive go? There it is. Okay. This is going to go right along the bottom, pretty much, so that it doesn't interfere with my photos. And then I'm going to use my smaller foam squares to pop up these cute flowers. Like so. Somehow I feel like this is breaking all the rules of threes and keeping things connected, and yet they're connected. It just sort of feels, I don't know, like maybe I need another flower in the middle. I don't know.
You feel that something is off.
I feel that something is off. All right. Okay, and then these up here. I'm gonna put this way out here so that we have as much room as we can for the title that's gonna go on there. This leaf is even bigger, but that's okay. Come here. Get off. They like to stick to my fingers. There we go. All right. What do we think? How'd that turn out? I like it. I think it turned out really well. And I love the panoramic view here. I'll always remember stepping out onto that veranda and feeling the wind blow through our hair, because it was blowing, let me tell you. I think that turned out really, really nice. Love it. All right, let me know what you think in the comments. And if you're not subscribed to my page, be sure, or to my channel, be sure that you hit that subscribe button and the bell notification so that you always know when I've posted a new video. Thanks so much for joining me, and until next time, I hope you have many more creative moments. Take care now.